Hey, Cow here. Welcome to Cow's DIY. This is my series Cheapest Possible House, where I'm attempting to build my own house with no construction experience. So our last episode, we dug down 2 feet because we're in a floodplain, and we used a pick and shovel because we couldn't even afford something from the big box store. But hey, my cholesterol level's several points down, and my wife's looking pretty good. So win-win. Today, we're putting in some footers. No, I gotta admit, I was pretty discouraged, almost in tears. I remember when I was young, thinking I wanted to build my own house, DIY, and everybody was laughing at me. And I remember going to a very old, very wise contractor. And like I said, I was almost in tears. And I asked him about that. Do you think I could ever build my own house as well as you do? And this is a short clip of what he said.
I'm not as strong as you. No. You're stronger.
That day profoundly changed my life when I talked to that contractor. I realized that as a DIYer, even if I don't know what I'm doing, I really believe that I can build a house that's actually much better than if a general contractor built it. For example, just imagine if you hired a general contractor to do something for $100. Any expense that he has over that is going to be money out of his pocket. He's going to do everything he can to try to save money and to get out of there as quickly as possible. So I really think as a DIYer, just putting a few more bucks into something that normally wouldn't be done and taking your time, I really do believe that we can do a much better job, as you're about to see as we build these footers. One more thing before we get started on the footer. One of the biggest, one of the most important, and one of the first decisions that you're going to have to make, whether you're a DIYer, whether you're a owner builder, or whether you have a GC, this decision rests on you, and it's going to be one of the biggest, one of the most important decisions. And that is, should I hire a geotech engineer or not? Now, a geotech engineer is somebody who comes in, takes samples of your land, and decides what kind of soil that you're building on. And that could easily be $3,000. And a lot of times, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo that you can't even read. And you got to take that to a structural engineer, and they'll design a foundation for you based on what the geotech engineer. So that could easily be another $6,000. It's really, really expensive. And so, of course, a lot of people try to avoid it, which could be the biggest disaster of your house. Just about anything else that goes wrong, we could tear it down, jerry-rig it, get it fixed somehow without that big of an issue. Maybe lose a couple thousand, but the decision on making the geotech engineer could be catastrophic, something that you can't fix. Now, the first thing that usually people think of is expansion soil. We got a friend down the street. They bought a brand new home in a fancy subdivision. Right now, the whole subdivision is involved in a class action lawsuit with the builder. First year, they started to realize their windows weren't closing right. Then in the second year, the doors weren't closing right. And by the third year, the builder kept denying everything. They hired a geotech engineer at their own expense. Come to find out, they had expansive soil, and their foundation is going all over the place. So it could be a catastrophic if you don't hire them. We're in sandy soil, and we talked with a geotech engineer. They said, we usually don't have people out in this area that uses geotech engineering. So it was a risk. It was a gamble. We decided not to do it because of where we are. But if you look at the Matt Reisinger video, another interesting one was if you just type in Matt Reisinger foundations, he had one that they did a geotech engineer, and they found water 10 feet down. And so you can imagine, especially building a pole barn with those concrete pillars, you stick them 6 feet down, and guess what? You just got 4 feet before your whole building hits water. So this is a really, really major decision, whether you're going to hire one or not. And so hopefully you make the right decision on where you live. And like I said, it's not just about expansion soil. One guy on the Facebook Builders group He bought a ranch and it looked like a great deal. There was pretty much only one place where he could build a house on it. And come to find out, it was a very big ranch back in the early 1900s. And right at that spot, there was the main outhouses for all the workers. And so he ended up having to dig, I think, 6 feet down and put in clean soil and tens of thousands of dollars. But had he not done that, his house definitely would have been sinking and probably came completely down. So to hire a geotech engineer or not, that's going to be a really major decision. Okay, let's get to work on our footer here. Now, first of all, we are in a floodplain. I keep saying that, but it's really important to understand that floodplain trumps building code. Okay, so if you're in a floodplain, you're going to have to deal with your local flood control office. And sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. So I believe building code is 12 inches down for the footer. So flood control said we had to be 2 feet down. 2018 IRC building code says that the footer has to be 12 inches wide, and our building code said that our footer has to be 18 inches wide. Now, there's some more differences, but that kind of gives you an idea before you purchase the property. Make sure you know what you're getting into before you purchase it. So this is what I was talking about, that I do believe a DIYer can build a better home than, say, like a production. Now, normally you would never see plastic down for a footer. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen another YouTube video, but sometimes as a DIYer, it's better to go one extra step, one extra expense to try to make a big project go a lot easier. So the plastic has a couple of purposes. First of all, you can see the 2x6 that we're using for the outer wall. Now, 2x6 is 5.5 inches, and so that means our footer has to be 8 inches. So we got a few inches gap in between the 2x6 and the bottom. So we put the plastic in and then pack dirt around, and it does hold it more than, adequate. So I've seen some products that are very expensive. They use a fabric that is a lot stronger than the plastic, but I haven't seen that to be necessary for that kind of expense. Now, the plastic also, the main purpose of our plastic is so that the water will not drain so quickly down into the dirt. So if you just pour concrete onto the dirt, the water from the concrete is going to seep into the dirt very quickly, and your concrete is going to cure a lot faster. Now, if you're a professional company, you got a bunch of guys with you got a bunch of professional tools, you actually know what you're doing, then it's going to go much quicker. You're just going to dig the dirt and pour the concrete in there, get in, get out, not really worry about it. But for me, it's just me and my son. So we put plastic down for concrete, and that stops the water from going down and gives us a little bit extra time so we can try to smooth the concrete out and actually finish it. Now, what I was talking about earlier, that as a DIYer, you can make a much better home. You can see with our horizontal rebar that we have 3 going across instead of what building code requires 2. And so that way we can get a third stronger with the rebar. And then our verticals are also 1 foot closer together. And the pieces of wood you can see there, they not only hold in the footer from spreading apart, but they also hold the vertical piece. And just by dumb luck, the middle piece actually is what holds the vertical rebar in. So I don't even see how you'd hold the vertical rebar in with just 2 rebars. So that was just dumb luck, not something I'd really planned. So I hope you can see that as a DIYer, people often criticize, saying that it'll never be good as a professional. But I think this is going to come out a lot better than what a production home would. So please put in the comments, see what you think of this, see what you think this is going to turn out to be. Before I go, Over the next couple of videos, I'm going to be going over some really critical information, whether you're a DIYer or owner builder, even if you have a GC. This is going to be some really important information if you have concrete work that you will be doing. So I ask you, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll try to get these videos out as soon as I possibly can and try to give you some really critical information for your concrete work. Thank you, and I hope this information was useful. If so, please put it in the comment section. Thank you.